My first steps in organizing for social change took place in school during my undergraduate studies, where I made several efforts to gather my classmates to come together for us to have conversations around burning social issues. I thought to myself, if we're being trained to be social engineers, to be sociologists, because that's what we are, if we're being trained to understand social problems and to bring solutions to these problems, we can as well just start while in school. So I would try to organize my classmates to say, can we have a conversation around ongoing burning issues? Let's see how we can propose solutions as social engineers, as sociologists. And it was always difficult getting my classmates to come together. And sometimes frustrated to the point of even wanting to give up. At the point of nearly giving up, I had a transformative encounter with Professor Patrick Wilmot. So I shared my frustration with him, and then I asked him if it's possible to pursue social causes alone, if you're finding it difficult to bring people together. And he said, no. He said, whatever you do, make sure you organize. Never pursue a social cause alone. Organize. And I know he was also speaking from his own experience because he was an activist as well. So he said, whatever you do, make sure you organize. If you don't organize, two things will likely happen. One, you can get burnt out early. And then secondly, depending on the administration that you're engaging with, if it's military, they can easily take you out if you become a thorn in their flesh. And so he said, whatever you do, make sure you organize. And that was the beginning of my organizing journey. History is filled with examples of transformative change driven by the power of organizing. The first I would like to highlight is the abolition of transatlantic slave trade, championed by William Wilberforce Darwin, with a group known as the Clapham Set. That is an old picture of the group. And this is how they would always meet in one of their colleagues' house to have conversation about how to stop the transatlantic slave trade. And they kept pushing the bill in the British Parliament, trying to get the British Parliament to stop that heinous trade. Unfortunately, it was a tough battle for them. It took many years, but they did not give up. And it was tough because some of their colleagues in the Parliament were also slave owners. They were also dealing in slave trade. And so it's like telling them to stop their own business. But you know what these guys didn't do? They did not give up. So they had a team in the Parliament, and they kept meeting and strategizing. They would present the bill, and after the vote, the bill will be shut down. Another year, another opportunity will come, they will come again. And they kept in the process appealing to the conscience of their colleagues. Eventually, they prevailed. And they were able to get that same Parliament to put an end to transatlantic slave trade. They did not give up. They organized. Another example I want to quickly highlight is the end of racial segregation in the US, led by Martin Luther King Jr. and his comrades, the civil rights movement. It took many years. You're all aware of the story. But it took organizing, coming together, connecting with like-minded people to be able to put an end to racial segregation in the United States. And then coming back to Africa, we also have seen the dismantling of apartheid in South Africa, spearheaded by Nelson Mandela. He didn't do it alone. He had his comrades with him. He organized. He spoke to people. He made presentations. He traveled far and wide, to build coalition against apartheid in South Africa. And he went to prison, spent over 20 years in prison on that account. But even while in prison, he did not give up. Eventually, in 1994, apartheid came to an end in South Africa. That is the power of organizing. Organizing is the force behind every major social breakthrough. Even here in Nigeria, I have witnessed firsthand how the power of organizing has enabled young people to demand change and achieve social transformation. And I'm just going to highlight a few. The first one is the Not Too Young to Run movement, and I know that some of us are aware of this movement. Alongside friends and colleagues, we launched this movement to break the constitutional barrier that excluded young people from contesting elective positions. Because what we had, and still to some extent still have in our constitution, the constitution that is in favor of older people who are not that educated. So what do you need to run for election in Nigeria? School start. All right? And then the age is like up there, for you to be able to run. But at 18, you are asked to come and vote. But before the amendment, you will have to be 30 for you to be able to run for State House of Assembly. Our goal was to reduce the age requirement for running for public office. We mobilized across the country, built coalitions, and engaged lawmakers. Eventually, in 2018, we were able to get the bill passed into law, and it was signed. It was eventually signed by the then President Madiba Foundation. It took 2 years of relentless effort, of engaging, of mobilizing all across the country. And so we mobilized for 2 years and we kept engaging. There were state governments that did not agree. Some governors didn't agree to what we were proposing. But at the end of the day, we were able to get our two-thirds to get it passed. And then eventually, young Nigerians were finally given a fairer chance to participate in elections at the local level, most especially. And we were able to bring down that of the president. We were able to bring down that of the governors. We were able to bring down that of House of Representatives. We were able to remove 5 years from all of that, from all the age qualification across these different offices. And then I remember this young man, the day of the bill was being signed. The amendment bill was being signed into law by President Buhari. We were still in the Aso Villa when he called, and he was like, "Did he sign it?" This is Barrister Bob Ottoban, who became a member of the Akbaba State House of Assembly in 2019. He called in 2018. "Did he sign it?" And I said, "Yes, he did." "Can I go and campaign now?" I said, "Yes, you can go and campaign now." Because he was preparing for 2019, right? Election at the time. And at the time, he was about 26. Prior to signing that amendment bill, he would need to be 30 to be able to run for that office. But the moment it was signed, he was qualified to run for the office. And then the next year, in 2019, he ran for office and he won. And this is just one of the many beneficiaries of the Not Too Young to Run movement that other young people came together to fight for. And so this picture right here is the day the bill was signed into law. And so these some of the young people. These are members of the national strategy team of Not Too Young to Run movement, by the president. We had other members all across Nigeria that supported this movement. And so it was through the power of collaboration and organizing that we're able to achieve this feat. We are not where we want to be yet. We know there's still so much to do, but we have taken steps in the right direction and we have to keep pushing. Another one I want to quickly highlight is the NSAS protest in 2020. And I know mentioning NSAS brings some of us mixed reactions in time because of what happened. And we can contest the outcomes of NSAS protests. But one thing that we cannot deny is the power of young people to bring about change. We saw that during NSAS. Young people contributed money. Young people pulled their resources together. Young people got the government to listen. All right? And so that is actually one of the benefits that we cannot take away from the NSAS protest. And so young people during NSAS proved that when citizens come together, their voices can shake the very foundation of power. I would like to speak about the one that is also very dear to me. It is what I call social intervention in Feast Africa. Feast Africa is an NGO that I founded in 2018. And what we do essentially is providing social intervention for deprived communities. And I'm working with a team of dedicated change makers. We provide social interventions in deprived communities, focusing mainly on women and girls. We have directly impacted over 5,000 women and girls, supported hundreds of children to stay in school, and established a scholarship fund that secures the education of 7 indigent children from primary school to university. And this, thank you. And this we are able to do because we're coming together. I don't have all the money. If I had all the money, trust me, you won't see any child on the street. But yes, we have 18 million, over 18 million out of school. But if we remove one out of the 18 million, the figure will no longer read 18 million. The figure will read 17,999,000. Are you getting it? It's no longer 18 million. It's now 18 million less one. So we're not where we want to be, but we're seeing the need for us to start from somewhere. And so we have support. We have people supporting these causes, people who believe in these causes. And we're able to achieve that because we are organizing. And then the last one, also be done, is organizing for a new Nigeria. It's a movement that we started in 2023. So all the lessons that we have learned in all the movements that I've been a part of, we are putting into ONN. So what are we doing at ONN? We are harnessing the energy, the creativity, and the skills of young people to drive development and promote good governance in Nigeria. We know young people have a lot of strength. Young people have a lot of energy. And if we don't harness these skills and energy towards a positive cause, you know what happens. They will always use this energy towards a negative cause. And so what we're doing at Madiba Foundation for Good Governance is empowering young people to be part of driving development and promoting good governance in Nigeria in a pragmatic way. All these achievements were made possible through collaboration and organizing. When we come together around a common cause, we unlock the power to transform our society. Together, we are stronger. Together, we are unstoppable. If you are wondering where to begin, start right here, right now. Look around you in this room. Connect with like-minded change makers. Let us dream together. Let us plan together. And let us act together. It is time for us to rise together.